the 9 to 5 isn't usually portrayed as the most glamorous option. And yet, when it's handled correctly, you can use it to build your dream life as a stepping stone to new heights. And this is coming from somebody who's using their 6-figure tech remote job to do just this. Now, what we're going to discuss in this video is relevant whether you want to use your career to build a business and go into entrepreneurship, or you actually want to continue climbing the corporate ladder, right? And seeing your career progress within the confines of, whatever industry that you're in or the roles that you see yourself in, maybe head of whatever it is. So I don't really want to waste any more time. Let's talk about the practical ways that you can use your 9 to 5 to build your dream life. So the first thing on this list is skill building. Now, when you take a step back and think about what you do at work, you are getting paid to learn, develop, and apply a set of skills. That means if you position yourself correctly, you could be being paid to build up a set of skills that benefits you, not just in the workplace, but outside, right? Whether it is in order for you to continue to climb the corporate ladder or transition into new roles, or whether it's to take those skills into entrepreneurship and your own business, something that you are building. Now, there are several practical ways I think you can use your 9 to 5 to build skills that you're interested in. The first one is taking on tasks that have crossovers. So, of course, the skills that you're going to be developing are largely in the context of the business that you're working, right? Whatever is benefiting them. However, there are ways that you can kind of, nudge your way into positions or roles or tasks that allow you to develop certain skills. For example, yes, you may be an engineer, but if the work needs to be presented to stakeholders, to other people in the business, and you're able to take on those sorts of roles and those sorts of positions, which is something that I have done quite a lot in my tech career, I get the opportunity to build up a set of skills around communication, around speaking to stakeholders that are different technical levels, right? Or public speaking. I now am being paid and on the job to develop these sets of skills and get feedback, live feedback, right? So not only am I learning the skill, but because I'm applying it in the actual corporate production setting, I'm getting feedback that I can use to improve my skills in the real world, take that on into my next role when I'm trying to get higher, or whether it is in my own business and my own capacity and entrepreneurship outside of that. The second practical way is to take on stretch tasks. Now, at work, you have the option to coast, right? I mean, in this environment, it's a risky thing with the way the market is right now, but you can coast just doing the bare minimum to get by. However, if you're trying to leverage this job to build skills, then taking on stretch tasks or more challenging tasks can be a way to accelerate that development and accelerate that skill building. And this is something that I spoke about doing in one of my first ever jobs, which was I took on a role that I was really not qualified on paper to do. Right? I wanted to be the second engineer on this very big migration project that has a very tight deadline. And yet, taking on that position allowed me to gain so many skills so quickly, and I had stuff on my CV, on my resume, that a junior usually wouldn't have because I had taken that on. How did that help me? Well, it was very, very good. And when I was going for my next role and negotiating a new salary, a higher salary that I could use then to invest in other things, well, I was able to do that because of that skill building, that acceleration of my skill building that was occurring there. And I also have these skills, which was working on a very tight deadline, a project that involved quite a lot of money, right? That involved a lot of technical layers, that involved actually having to relay this new tool and put together knowledge transfer sessions for the team because we was migrating from one tool to another and people needed to know how to use this tool. And then I had all of those skills that I can take with me in whatever capacity. Another practical way of building skills within your 9 to 5, so getting paid to do this effectively, and actually certifications, is being aware of the training budget and training incentives that exist in your 9 to 5. A lot of companies have money set aside for training their employees and getting them certified on certain things. This is something that you probably want to explore and exploit if you are trying to build your skill set. So look in the company handbook or the documentation or reach out to HR or your line manager and be like, what kind of training is there available for me? What can I take on? What certificates can I get? Like in one of my jobs, we had time dedicated. Like you could take, I think it was 5 days off to actually revise for certifications, as well as being able to get paid to do certifications, right? Or having them put money aside for that. So get familiar with that and then pick a configuration again that works with you, the skills that you're trying to build, where you're trying to go, the life you are trying to build. Now, the next thing on this list is about networking and network building. And I think at this point, a lot of us are starting to understand that the importance of who you know, right? Who you are connected to, and the power and the quality of your network. Well, your 9 to 5 is one thing that you can leverage to build out this network. The reality is that you're in a business with people who are different levels of seniority, but also in different domains, right? They have different knowledge and skill sets that you can tap into, that you can build a network that becomes quite diverse and also very high quality. we can use that to our advantage in order to help build our dream life, right? If you know that you want to become more versed in a particular domain or understanding, or you want to build a network of people that have, certain experiences and they exist within your business, the business that you work in as a 9 to 5, why not explore that? Why not get to know those people, right? Whether it is actually helping them with something that they're working on, or, if it is physically in the office, then reaching out to them and over coffee or over lunch, like getting to know the people in your company and building a network that makes sense for you and where you're trying to go in your life, the life that you are trying to build once again. You can, of course, extend that to the online as well. Like the more people that you connect with within your industry, within your job, your 9 to 5, you start to build a network and leverage the network effect because you start to see what's going on in your industry, the things that you're interested in. But from that, like branching out from the 9 to 5, from the people that are there, right? Maybe you follow the CEO as well, or, the head of engineering or the head of design, or, an engineer, whoever it is, and your network starts to flourish and starts to form in the way that you are most interested in leveraging. Another thing you should consider is if your company will pay for you to go to events. And you may again be surprised at the number of companies that do have a budget for this. I remember a couple of years ago, I found this event called SRE Day, right? A great opportunity to network and be around other SREs. Now, it was quite pricey, right? It was a little bit pricey. And I actually reached out to my manager who then directed me to head of finance to speak about us getting tickets, my team getting tickets to this event. So now we're able to go to network in this, this really specific domain, actually, meet other SREs, other people who are interested in this space in DevOps and so forth, and be able to get access to those people, build out our network by leveraging the 9 to 5 once again. And so you can start to see how there are many layers of you building out a network from the 9 to 5 as the basis, whether they're paying for you to go to events, right? I mean, when I was at Afrotech, there were people who had been paid to go there, or they've been sponsored to go out there. So their flights, their hotel, like their ticket, everything had been paid for. They're leveraging that. And then they went out there networking for, I think it was over 4 days of intense networking in people in tech and business and so forth. The key thing here is to ask. Make sure that you speak up. If it's not already obvious that the company sponsors those things, then ask, find out, and actually advocate, right? So like make the case for why you going to this event or your team going to this event will benefit the company. That is one thing I will say when you are trying to, I would say use, but effectively tap into the company's assets, money to get things done. You need to show how it's going to benefit the company too, right? This is not a charity per se, and even charities have to work out where the money's going. And so if you can make a case for why you doing this networking event or doing whatever is going to benefit the company, you have a much stronger case for, being able to do that activity or that training or that certification. Now, the next thing on this list is wealth building. Now, when you do have a stable income, something that is coming in monthly, there are things that you can put in place to help form stability around your life. Whether it is using that 9 to 5 to build a very strong emergency fund so that, in the case of anything, including the loss of that 9 to 5, you're in a better position or in a position to move with clarity and without panic if something goes wrong. So you can leverage that income and make cuts in other places or like increases in some to have that security. But also you could be saving for particular things that that you want to invest in, right? But also you can start investing in financial instruments, whether it is funds and things of that nature. This is not financial advice, and we will talk about that in another video, but you can leverage that stable income over a period of time to get your financial kind of situation in gear. This has been a huge factor for me in building my dream life, working towards my dream life, like being able to, create a savings and build up a savings that gives you a level of comfort and safety, right? But also being able to invest in certain equipment and things that I know that I need to build out other interests. But also like even the space that I have, knowing that I have that income coming in, I can go for a home and a flat or an apartment that I really love, that I love being in, that I love making content in and doing other things in, because of the income that I've been able to work myself up to. And then a lot of the things that I've spoken about already are the things that are going to help you negotiate and get into the positions where you can get a 6-figure salary, right? Building those sets of skills, getting those experiences and those tasks and those projects that are more challenging, building out your network so that you know the people in the industry, you know what's going on, you're aware of movements and shifts, trends towards certain technologies, right? And then you can build up those skills and experiences there. Use the network that you have to, perhaps get interviews in certain places that are going to be paying you more. Like it's a holistic picture, and getting your first 6-figure job, I think again is another conversation, but it's important that you think about the ways that you can position yourself to make the most out of your time in this capacity. One thing I will say as well is don't cap yourself. I remember I did a TikTok talking about, my trajectory and basically getting to six figures in just a few years of being in tech. And there were some angry people in the comments, right? Unfortunately, it was a lot of men, it seemed like, and some bots, but people were angry at the fact that I had made it to six figures so soon. And I could tell that the reason was because people were making a direct correlation where time equals the amount that you get paid. Now, time is one important factor, right? Of course it is. And I'm not going to pretend that, things happen over time, that they elapse over time. However, it's not the only thing that people use and that companies use and employers use when assessing what they should pay you and the role that you are eligible for, right? People can use time very differently. One person could be coasting for a year, the other person could be taking on, highly complex, big projects that are having a big impact on the company. Well, we've both had a year, but it's very different in terms of what we have at the end of that year and what we have produced and what we can, bring to a new company or a new role. So just don't hold yourself back in that sense either. The next thing I want to talk about is actually leveraging the associations and the power and the status of the business to help build your life. Now, we know that certain companies hold a lot of weight in this world, right? And if you've been able to work in there, i.e. you've been able to get the job and stay for X period of time, you're able to then leverage that association in the wider world, right? There's no point in pretending that doesn't matter, right? It's the reason why when you have someone went to Oxford or Cambridge, or, they studied at this particular place, or they have a job there. And it's because there is a level of rigor that is associated with that company because of, how hard it is to get in, or, how hard it is to actually build these complex products. Like if you work in AI or so forth, like you work for a AI division within a large company, like you can leverage that association, right? And that associated rigor and knowledge that people assume that you have because you was able to get into that position to, again, build your own dream life. It's almost like pre-validation. People assume a level of you because of this, and why not leverage it? There are people who will get called to speak in events just because of the associations they have. So they position themselves as a speaker, open for those opportunities, and because they worked at, I don't know, Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or, Apple or wherever it is, they're able to then leverage that. But also if you're building your business in the same kind of domain, then you can use that and leverage that experience that you have and that association to help with clients, gaining clients. There's, again, a level of trust. Well, if this person was doing accounting at this firm, then I can assume that there was a level of skill and experience required for them to get that. People are a bit more comfortable with you because of that pre-validation. Leverage it. So now we have a few ways just by association and company association or job association that you can use it to leverage building your dream life, right? Whether your dream life involves you being a public speaker and having access to audiences, we can use it in that way. Or whether it is about building a clientele of people who use your services, you can do it in that way. Climbing the corporate ladder, right? Using it to get into the positions that you want to maybe do really interesting things, or maybe affect change. Maybe your dream life involves you being able to bring different people from different areas into your industry, and you're leveraging the business, you're leveraging your 9 to 5 to do this. The next one I want to talk about using your 9 to 5 to build your dream life is actually something I alluded to, but it was investing in hobbies and potential side hustles, but things that you're interested in outside work. If you have an income again that is being consistently generated and that you know that you can set aside a portion of to build into and invest into something else that you're interested in, why not do it? Again, that's something that I have done with, say, my painting. I have used my income and my 9 to 5 to invest in my painting, to invest in the tools, the equipment, the actual course that I did in Florence. Like all those things I was able to do in part with a more stable position and an income that's like, I have the disposable income to invest in my hobbies, to invest in my interests. In a similar way, we're getting the kit and the gear for YouTube and being able to upgrade my gear, which is actually now falling into hobby/side hustles. Because if that thing is also generating you money and it also just happens to be your hobby, that's great. But you can take some of that money, take some of the things that you have, including the skills. So I can take my skills and my money from over here and use that to invest in hobbies and also into side hustles. That's pretty cool. And because I think for most of us, a dream life isn't just about money. It is about experiences. It is about hobbies. It is about enrichment in that sense. Then if you can use your 9 to 5 to invest in those sorts of things, then it's a win. Now, a final thing on my list is, again, a little bit more businessy, but it's about using your 9 to 5 to acquire knowledge of how businesses work, right? Understanding the frameworks, the tools, the structures around a business. Now, again, this is important whether you want to become a business owner yourself for obvious reasons. You get to see firsthand how businesses operate, how they structure their organizations. what tools they use, what methods they use. And I'm not saying to breach any contracts and do anything crazy and steal intellectual property. That is not what I'm saying, to clarify. But you still are able to use those experiences and that knowledge that you acquire in your own situation. But also, again, if you are wanting to climb the corporate ladder, you aren't taking notice of what's working in this organization. You're able to either give feedback for improvement, or you can take on both the wins. I mean, like, this works. The next organization I go to, I might want to implement some of these things, but also notice what's not going right and what you wouldn't want to build into your own business, or what you wouldn't want to build in and look for in your next role. Or if you're trying to build a team, as you climb the corporate ladder, what you wouldn't want there, how you wouldn't want to move, what tools don't work, what kind of methods and processes don't really seem to work. And you can take that and use that to leverage and build your own career and a more successful one. Now, actually, one more thing I do want to add to this list, and I didn't know whether I wanted to put it in or not, but I'm going to anyway, is actually using your 9 to 5 to invest in your health. Now, a lot of the times, the 9 to 5 can be the thing that causes us a great deal of stress and so forth. But I think, again, we have to redirect some of the resources into ourselves in ways that, aren't always obvious. But it does include using your 9 to 5 to spend it on high quality foods, which is something, again, that I was able to do. The more I climb up, I chose what to invest in. And maybe it means not investing in a handbag straight away, but you can afford organic food, or you can afford a gym membership that gives you access to more classes, right? And it allows you to move your body in new ways, or, healthcare and having access to, say, private healthcare and so forth. Like, that's something that companies in the UK do quite a lot, like corporate offer private healthcare. And then you can use those maybe to get certain things that you need that may not be on offer as a standard with the NHS or so forth. So I wasn't going to include that, but I think it's really important. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. You can use your 9 to 5 to build your dream life, your dream business, your dream career in so many different ways. And I just really wanted to highlight that today. Now, if you did enjoy this video, you're probably going to enjoy this one as well, where I talk a little bit more about options and crafting your career and your 9 to 5 in a way that works for you. So I would go and check that out afterwards. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.